everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we're doing an episode of Bachelorette Talks. This is for episode 3 of Becca's season on The Bachelorette. If you are new here, hi, welcome. Every Wednesday on my channel, I'm posting recaps of this season of The Bachelorette. And coming up next is Bachelor in Paradise, so I will also be recapping those episodes. So if you don't want to miss out, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you guys want to follow me on my social media, it's MakeupByMegB everywhere. My other videos on Mondays and Fridays are beauty related. So let's go ahead and get into this episode because The Bachelorette this season is showing no signs of slowing down. They are not skimping out on any of the drama. We already start the episode off with Jordan and David, and we all know how this is going to end. I think we can all kind of predict that Jordan and David are going to keep like going at each other until there's a 2-on-1 date and one of them will have to go home. At least that's just how I'm seeing it. So Jordan is starting off the episode by talking about David and saying how he's dry and not fun, but David showed up in a chicken suit, so I think he has some kind of fun in him. And at least David cooks. I mean, Jordan was sitting there making fun of David for making food. Like, I didn't get it. Chris Harrison comes into the room, reminds them how very important their time with Becca was, as if they didn't already know, and hands a date card, and he lets them know there's 2 group dates, one one-on-one, and there are going to be people without dates at all this week, so sending the guys into a bit of a tizzy. The first group date, we have Wills, we have Jason, we have Jordan. Conveniently, we also have David, Jean Blanc, and Colton. The card says time to relax. So again, all these boys think that they're going to be getting a pampering date like they did last time. But again, plot twist. They're the ones doing the pampering. They're not getting any relaxation time. Here we move on to a scene at the spa with Becca, and she's there with some of her best girlfriends. We have Becca, Tia, Cian, Kendall, and Caroline. So I feel like I don't want to hate on ABC, but it's just like some of the stuff that they do is so obvious. It's like, here's a little preview of some of the women that will be appearing on Bachelor in Paradise. And here we are bringing some of the guys in that are also going to be on Bachelor in Paradise. So, ooh, so then when they're all on Bachelor in Paradise, they can say, oh, when we were on that group date on Becca's season, I felt a spark with this person. I don't know. Maybe I need to stop being such a hater, but I can't help it. All right, so now we get to see Becca and Tia hash out their drama, and according to Tia, that she met up with Colton before their show even aired. And right there, it sparks some red flags because it's been kind of back and forth of a, you know, we heard that Colton was really enjoying Tia on Arie's season, so he reached out and DM'd her. Tia's here saying that they met up before Arie's season even previewed. Who the hell knows what is going on? It's just a big awkward mess for everyone. Then Becca goes out, brings the guys in, reveals to them, joke's on you, you're pampering us, and Jordan's face just drops and he's just like, it was great. I loved it. And poor Jason, Becca forgot his name, and I can't blame her. I probably would have forgotten his name too if I didn't have my notes on my phone, because we have not seen much of him at all. Now, while everyone is getting acquainted with each other, the question on my mind is, if Colton is such a catch, why did they work out and why did he come on the show? So that was kind of the question running through my mind during this group date, and I was just sitting there like, let's just get this over with so we can get this Colton and Tia thing completely hashed out. And the tea on that was that they met, he applied for the show, and neither of them really thought he would get on the show. So at the time of their meeting, they didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal that they met up. But then Tia says something along the lines that if he did get on the show, it really wouldn't make sense anyways because they were literally across the country from each other, so they just decided to be friends. And apparently all they did was kiss. I think once Becca heard this, she figured everything was in the clear and she could move forward with Colton. You know, if he tells her that he's there for her and wasn't on the show for Tia, because Tia was kind of like, oh, I don't know if he applied for the show because he wanted to be with me, but if they met before that, it doesn't make sense for him to be on the show because he had met her. And here, on this date, David was one of the guys that painted his nails. Jordan's trying to say he's not fun. All right, I'm done picking at that. So basically on that group date, from what I noticed, Colton and Jason were the only ones to not have polish on their hands. Way to not be team players. And Becca makes the comment, you better show up with nail polish. So now we get into another Jordan and David tizzy where David brings up the fact that Jordan had been bragging around the house about his Tinder matches, and Jordan tries to be slightly humble about it, but he's like, oh yeah, I got a notification that I hit 4,000 matches in 1 year, and that's like a huge accomplishment. And then he gets super cocky about how he thinks that all of his matches were like perfect and he scored 100%. And then he tries to say, you know, I felt like he was trying to not make himself look bad, but he made himself look worse by saying, but I wasn't on Tinder every day. I hardly used it, but you matched with 4,000 people, so. It was all kind of fun and games because the rest of the guys were kind of in on it, kind of giving Jordan shit for his Tinder capades, if you would like to call it that. But then David just kind of like kept pushing and just poking the bear and poking the bear, and then he feels the need to go scurry on away to Becca, sit down and say, hey, Jordan's bragging about how he matched with 4,000 women on Tinder. How's that make you feel? And he's not here for the right reasons. And we all know how this story ends. It is never good when you're the person always running to the Bachelor or the Bachelorette and whining about the villain or, you know, problematic person in the group. After a certain amount of time, the lead gets annoyed with it and that person ends up going home, and you're kind of like digging yourself into a hole by constantly going to Becca and reporting things about Jordan to her. But I mean, every season, bless their heart, there's always one person that does that and sacrifices themselves for the good of the season. Anyways, while David is sitting there and poking the bear that is Jordan, Jordan then kind of goes, it's so hard being a model. And it's just like, oh, sweetie, like, no, don't. He is not doing himself any favors, but if I was in that room, part of that conversation, I would totally be Will's. He was sitting on the couch trying not to bust out laughing, and that would have been me in that situation. I'm totally Will's. We take a break from the Jordan and David drama and we move on to the Colton drama. Becca sits him down, has a little chat. How can I trust that you're here for the right reasons? Are you sure you're here for me? You're not here for Tia? And bless Becca's heart that she's like putting so much trust into these people to not lie and deceive her. But of course, Colton goes, no, Becca, I'm here for you. I'm so happy it's you. I want to move forward in our relationship. I don't want to talk about Tia anymore. And that was just enough for Becca to flip the switch and just start making out with Colton. And it was enough to give him a rose. And I'm not going to lie, that was quite a turn of events because in my last recap, I mentioned how upset Becca was by the fact that Tia and Colton had a fling, whatever you want to call it, and it looked like she really wanted to send him home right then and there. It seemed like the producers may have pushed her to keep him on another week so they could have this confrontation. And it just really surprised me to see her just do a complete 180 with her feelings toward him and her body language toward him. So I think that Becca really was into Colton, and I think maybe she was really hurt that you know, he was with Tia before. But it seems like it's something that she's able to move past, and it seems like Colton is going to be in the show for a long time now. Now we get to the one-on-one date, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit surprised when it was with Chris, because, you know, we hadn't really seen much, but it makes sense. I feel like early on they do the one-on-ones with people that they're maybe iffy about. It could go one way or the other. So it does kind of make sense that Chris was on this date. Basically, they go to a recording studio and they write a song about each other, and Chris really struggled to be vulnerable and open up and write down his feelings, which I feel like is a struggle for most men out there. But he revealed that he had some childhood trauma with the relationship with his dad and his dad rejecting him when he reached out. So of course, him being vulnerable led to him getting the rose later on at their dinner date, but it seemed like his song really brought down the house to Becca, and she was like so into Chris. I was kind of surprised. Like, I really like seeing her interaction with these guys, because you kind of get a vibe that like maybe she's not feeling him, maybe she's not into him, but she's just like so like warm, welcoming, and just like touchy-feely with all of them. And it seems like at the end of this date she may keep Chris around for longer than what I was thinking. On to group date numero dos. We have Clay, Leo, Kristan, Ryan, John, Garrett, Lincoln, Mike, Connor, Blake. And it is the ever so classic football bachelorette group date. I think it's very fair to say that Clay has an enormous advantage on today's date. And yeah, I was kind of hoping to see more of like the lesser knowns like Ryan and Mike and Connor, but we didn't really get to see much of them on this date either. We get to see Clay, you know, shine like a little star. If I was on this date, I just know that I would want to be on Clay's team, because I would not want that guy to run into me on the football field. But poor Clay, he was literally carrying the team on his back because Lincoln had absolutely no idea what he was doing, and we got to see his like little goofy side. So I think last week with the whole picture incident, I think he's just like a really goofy, outgoing guy, and that's just part of his personality. And yeah, it seemed like Ryan didn't really know a whole lot about what was going on, so poor Clay was like carrying the team. They were down at the end, and then at the last minute he goes into beast mode and scores a touchdown to tie the game up. But unfortunately, in doing so, he hurt his wrist. It started the downfall for the Bachelors on this season. This episode may as well have been called Injury Night, because that's kind of all it was. While the guys are all just hanging out on the couch talking, Jordan tries to, I think he's trying to not make himself look like the bad guy here. I think he could kind of tell at this point the guys are all ganging up on him. And he tries bringing up Tia to Colton, and Colton is not having any of it. He's like, you will not instigate this. You will not try to run my name through the mud or whatever it is kind of questioning you're gonna do. I'm not talking about it. Jordan goes, well, we talked about my dating history. And here we have David chime right in and go, oh dude, you brought that up yourself. We weren't trying to make you talk about it. And it just turned into an opportunity for David to just keep stirring the pot with Jordan. Now we get to the super dramatic part of the episode where we see an ambulance and someone being carried out on a stretcher, and then we get to know that it's David, and it cuts to a commercial break. What I found odd, and I was calling this before the episode carried on, even when they showed it in the preview, they want to make you think that Jordan beat David up, but I was like, he's in his underwear, I bet he fell out of bed. Lo and behold, dude fell out of the bed and hit his face. Chicken won't be clucking so much now anymore. And this is what I love about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, how overly dramatic it is. Like, before they show us that that's really what happened with David, they really want us to believe that him and Jordan had some kind of confrontation. They show Chris Harrison going to Becca and sitting down. David was injured. He's in the ICU. Like, it's not good. And then even she automatically assumes, well, who beat him up? And then he goes, oh, he fell out of bed. Back to the football date, I had to jump around a little bit, but I also, in typical dramatic Bachelor fashion, anytime there was a contact, even when the football hit the ground, there was like a loud like crunching noise to make it seem more intense than it actually was. And again, like those are the little cheesy effects of the show that just like makes us like hate watch it and binge watch it and love it. After the football game, they all got to have some time with Becca, and Blake is sitting there, and you could just tell this poor dude is getting in his head. You could see it on his face while he's sitting there. He just looks absolutely miserable. He's starting to realize, oh, okay, it's not just me. There's all these dudes here, and now they're all pretty much have kissed her, and like I have to share her. There's always someone on the season that really struggles with this. And he sits down and talks to Becca about it, and he just says that he has so many feelings for her already, and he refers to her as his girlfriend, which makes Becca super, super giddy, and it may seem like he's going to be the one to get the rose, but Clay makes an appearance. He's back from being checked out by the EMT, and of course he's the MVP from the football date, so he gets the rose. And one thing I forgot to say earlier about Colton getting the rose is that Becca made the comment that you better have nail polish on, so she gives it to like one of the guys that wasn't wearing it. Just saying. At this point, it is still really hard for me to keep track of all these guys, but from what I can tell, Nick is one of the only ones that didn't get put on a date, so it's kind of like, I think your ship has sailed, buddy. Prepare to go home. Maybe you'll get a rose if she's really off-put by one of the other guys she's been spending time with. Maybe there's some hope for him. And then we have Connor, who doesn't want to be forgotten because I'm sure he is nervous about going home. He sets up this really cute baseball moment for him and Becca, and I think he probably stealed his way into staying another week. And yeah, there's no rose ceremony because of the dramatic turn of events. Clay comes back again from the hospital, and he shares the news that he needs to get surgery on his wrist, and if he doesn't leave to get the surgery now, he might not be able to continue his career in football, which is completely understandable for him to want to pick a career over dating the Bachelorette. No one can really blame him here. So that is where the episode leaves us. Maybe there will be a rose ceremony, maybe there won't be because Clay got to give his rose back. So I'm excited to see what next week brings us. For now, let me know, who is your standout people? Who do you think is going to make it far into the competition? I can see Connor making it pretty far. I can definitely see him on Bachelor in Paradise. And I just have to point out that Connor totally looks like a typical like Bachelor contestant. And then we have Leo, which I just think I'm just drawn to him, and I like him so much because he looks so different than all the other guys. I think he's going to make it pretty far onto the season. I think that Lincoln's going to make it really far. Obviously Colton. Jordan, for the sake of drama, will make it pretty far onto the season. After Becca's date with Chris, I could see him staying around another few weeks too. So let me know what your picks are. I can also see Jean Blanc, Blake, and Garrett sticking it out further along in the season. So let me know your picks in the comments down below. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's recap. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.